Hey guys, what's going on? So we just pulled up to the skate park and I'm actually a little hype right now because it's looking like it's pretty dry. So we're just gonna hit a pretty basic skate session, nothing too crazy. Just working on some basics, probably start out with some manuals and then work our way into some ollies. Maybe the ramps will be decently dry and we'll be able to hit a little bit of transition. All right, let's get after it. All right, let's start out with just some warm up here. It's been a little while since skating anything. Get some tic tacs in. It's looking like the ramps are a little icy, so no transition. Get some stretching in a little bit here. I'm still recovering a little bit from a knee injury that I got not that long ago. So we're taking it nice and easy, making sure we're stretched out every session and very warmed up before doing anything too crazy. I mean, even just the landing impact from ollies right now is feeling So as long as we're stretched, nice and warmed up, then nothing feels too bad. And we can keep at it. Really just making sure the hamstrings are loose and the leg can bend nice and deep without feeling anything crazy. There's a guy here before me this morning, just crazy, because it's like 8 a.m. right now, and he ended up leaving like right when I was pulling up. So I don't know how early he was here, but I'm wondering if he left because the park was a little icy still. But it's really not looking too bad. There are definitely sections that can be skated. Probably none of the obstacles. None of the platforms. Everything's got a nice little layer of frost on it. Guess that's the nature of skating on the East Coast. I guess there's really only a few of us that are crazy enough to get out and skate when it's below freezing, huh? Hit some tic tacs. get some manuals in. Or at least practice some manuals a bit. Something I really struggle with, but have just recently started to feel like a little bit better once I'm warmed up, is being able to hold them a little bit longer. Just recently got the feeling a little bit more of what it's like to lift your front leg up instead of just put pressure on the back foot to lift the board up. But that balance point still feels pretty foreign to me. Someone was out here doing God's work and most definitely shoveled this entire park. As there are definitely sections that are not skated that are covered in snow still. And this park is not really in the sun very much. Also pretty high up there on the list of stuff that I want to learn is I want to start working on riding switch and learning everything switch. But that one's a real struggle. I mean, we can push switch. As a kid, I was a Mongo pusher for sure. And because of that, pushing switch feels pretty natural. But riding switch does not feel natural in the slightest. Also trying to figure out foot placement on manuals to where they kind of shift my balance point to a better place. I feel like if I go feet too close together, then it makes the board just feel so light and twitchy, but slightly too far apart. And it feels like I have to work so much harder to get to a balance point. So we're still trying to find the sweet spot. Every time I do it, we change just a little bit. And we're getting there. Let's get into some hippie jumps. Really just trying to get my ollies a little bit floatier. I have a lot of power to them, but having a lot of power without any finesse doesn't really do a whole lot for you. So I'm trying to tone it back to where I can float a little bit better and just tone back all of the power and really feel like I have a lot more control in it, because I'm at the skill point right now where having the control way more valuable than having the power. Whew. We're doing really bad in the hippie jump department. Jeez. For whatever reason, I'm wanting to send it forward. And the other thing I really want to work on is landing a lot softer, so not just floating, landing and being able to absorb impact into the legs a lot better. Whenever I get those, like, technically they're higher ollies, but they're aggressive and it feels like I just kind of stomp them into the ground. And whenever I do that, I get, straight legs in the landing, and I don't absorb so much shock, or, it's a much less stable position to be in. So, working on that too, slowly but surely. All right, let's hit an ollie or two. That one was awful. For sure, dodging patches of ice. Not the most fun thing to do in the world, but we're out here. It's just nice to get a skate session in. Still feel like I'm trying to stomp down. So let's reset, hit some manuals again, and get back into some hippie jumps. feel like I am counting down the days a little bit until springtime. Although today is supposed to be, you know, in the 40s. So hopefully some of this snow melts and ramps dry up a little bit, and maybe later in the week I can do a little bit more on transition, work on my kick turns, just roll the fakie, get some reverts in, which we can get some reverts in now actually. Some fakie back to regular stance. Just keeping on working on increasing board feel. Can go from regular stance to fakie back to regular. Just a whole lot of practicing everything. Hit a manual. Go from regular to fakie, back to regular. Just start combining things. Get a little baby hippie jump. Hit a nice and slow manual. I will say, manuals, not feeling the best today. Usually feels like I can get into them a little bit easier, hold them a little bit longer. But you know, good days and bad days. Get a little bit of an Ollie. Although it was not super high, not anything crazy, did feel like it was more in control, which is what I'm going for. Just need to find some consistency in that. That way I can start working on adding some more power back into those. That one landing was bad, but Ollie itself, timing, everything was there. That one was probably the best feeling. Well, that one felt kind of floaty. Landing was a little bit too stiff, too tall. Let's get a regular to fakie revert, and then try and hit a fakie Ollie. Let's get some speed here. Let's see what we can get here. Whew. Need a little bit more than that. Ooh, that one felt like a interesting torque on the knee. As good of a pop that was, the rest of it did not feel good. All right. See if we can get a little bit faster pace on that one. We killed our own pop on. So like that, where I'm trying to stomp it down too quick, just trying to come back to the ground too fast. All right, those felt much better for manuals. They were short, but felt like I found a balance point. Foot pointed a little bit more forward on the front foot. But maybe that's what I need. Get my front foot pointed a little bit more forward. That actually seems like it feels really good. Although foot placement, not perfect. Having front foot pointed just a little bit forward at an angle actually feels a decent bit better. This is kind of just a trial run with this mic setup. I may or may not try to live stream some of this stuff as I'm really practicing, learning. I'm sure some of you guys are in the same boat I am. Or maybe you're thinking about getting into skateboarding and it seems a little intimidating and you don't know where to start. You know, this is kind of the grind of feeling comfortable on a skateboard, which is, I feel like, most of the battle initially. You know, you're just trying to feel comfortable on the board. The more you feel comfortable on the board, the more you're going to try tricks, and when you do actually try some bigger tricks, you know, you'll know how to come out of it. You'll know how to adjust your balance in the landing. You'll know all your balance points. You'll be able to pop effectively. You know, everything slowly but surely comes together. I will say it does feel like when I'm able to practice transition 2, I can get much better lines in. I feel like I can add a lot more fakie stuff in because I can do roll to fakie, gain some speed going through kick turns, or more just hold speed going through kick turns, not have to push quite as much. Lets me focus a little bit more on foot placement and all that stuff. But I mean, we're kind of stuck to flat ground for the day, which is fine. One of these days when the boxes here aren't icy, I want to work on some slappy crook stuff and start getting into grinds a little bit more. That one, same thing again, killed my own pop. That one felt good. Again, not very high, but felt like I was in control. Didn't kill my own pop. Landed bent knees. Stable in the landing. You know, kind of whole checklist that you want to go for. That one. Kill my own pop again. We'll give it another, 5 minutes or so. We can call it a decent session. About 40 minutes. All in all, feels decent. happy I haven't hit a patch of ice in any of my turns or landings or anything. I'll watch, I probably jinxed myself. Let's give some fakie ollies another go. And that's what happens when you try and stomp them down and not kind of absorb into the landing. My feet were in the right spot, but you know, legs too straight, slamming the board down kind of throws off all the balance. Again, same kind of thing, landing too tall. It's one of those things, you know exactly what's wrong, and it's hard to fix. That one felt decent. That one we just weren't square in the shoulders, turned the board. I mean, it happens. Let's try a different Ollie stance and just see what happens. So I don't know how I feel about that. That was more like a kickflip stance. And I mean, I definitely felt the board flipping. Not sure I like that. Yeah, I kind of like the other stance more. Feels like I have more control. And feels like I don't have to correct the board in the air, because the board naturally wants to turn. Land real far on the nose there. Whew. Let's try and get a couple more manuals in. Interesting. I feel like with that kind of like angle in the front foot, I actually want my foot a little bit more further forward in the manual. It's kind of an interesting spot. All right. Let's see if we can just land one more decent ollie, and then that'll be end of session for me. Just one more. I don't know if I would call that decent. It's an ollie. I don't know if I would call that decent. It really does not feel like I floated that at all. Surprisingly though, all in all, he feels pretty decent. That was such a low ollie. It's wild. I don't even know if I really would say I even jumped off of that one. Okay, that felt good. All right, guys. We'll call a session there. Hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for hanging out.